Before we begin, a little bit about the company and myself. I have a background in bioengineering. I have a PhD from Caltech, and I started IUNO as a way to really understand my own journey, my own health journey, and what it meant for my skin. I was diagnosed with leukemia back in 2014, and with that brought an onslaught of different symptoms and different conditions, starting from sensitive skin to hyperpigmentation to basically just about any other exhaustive list that you can think of. And so while I was a scientist at that point, and so putting your scientist hat on, I started thinking about, okay, what is causing all of this, and can I control it in any way? And so that started a series of questions to start thinking about what DNA was doing inside my body, what proteins were doing inside my body. How is my biology really being responsible for what was going on inside my body, and how it was showing up on the external surface, which is my skin. Now, as time's gone by, now I'm in remission, but I have noticed that there are a lot of people who struggle with maybe not something as serious as cancer, but other life events that cause different effect on their skin, whether it is surgery or pregnancy or any other life-altering event. The first thing it shows up is on your skin, right? Including a stressful day or a lack of sleep or partying too hard. All of that shows up on your skin, and that's because the biology inside you is working to make those proteins for your body to help compensate, and in a way that shows up as a symptom on your skin. So let's go a little bit deeper to understand what this all actually means. And let's today, in the short time that we have, I'll try to go into a little bit of detail around what is hyperpigmentation, what is the different properties of skin, and how it manifests on skin of different colors and tones. So with that, let's go into what we will cover today. We'll talk a little bit, not too much, but a little bit about skin basics. What are the different layers of skin? We've all heard about 7 layers. We've all heard about techniques that go deep into your skin. So we really want to understand what are these different layers and how relevant are they for cosmetic dermatology versus medical dermatology. And then we have a most debated topic of melanin. Right, melanin is one of the most interesting proteins or colored pigments that's known to man or human. And so it's worthwhile to spend a little bit of time to understand what melanin is and how that leads to pigmentation, but also in some cases hyperpigmentation, and the causes that trigger melanin production in our body, whether it is genetics or whether it is proteomics or your lifestyle. It could be any of these. And so it's worthwhile understanding some of that. And then, of course, when you go into hyperpigmentation, some of it is mostly cosmetic. Some of it could be a more serious underlying condition. And so there are some treatment techniques that people now use to help understand and deal with hyperpigmentation. And we also want to cover a little bit on what the prevention strategies could look like. It's not just applying SPF. There's a lot more that what one could do for preventing hyperpigmentation. And then, of course, as always, we'll end with our interactive Q&A session. We've sent around an email where we've collected some questions. So if people have questions during the live session, please raise your hand and leave a question. If not, we will cover the questions that we've collected via email. With that, let's start off. So this is really one of the more interesting statements for me. If people often think that hyperpigmentation only affects people of a certain skin color or certain skin tone because they have higher proportion of melanin. On the Fitzpatrick scale, which goes from 1 to 6, if you're on the lighter tone, fairer, that would be around 1 to 3 you would be on that range. And if you are brown or darker black, you would go all the way to 6, anywhere from 3 to 6. Now, some people, it's somewhat of a common belief to think that hyperpigmentation only affects people who are in that Fitzpatrick scale of between 3 to 6, but it's not true. Anyone from a scale of 1 to 6 can have hyperpigmentation. It just shows up in a different way for them. So in order to understand what that actually means, let's go a little bit into what skin actually looks like under the microscope, and try to understand where melanin is being formed and how we could start to address some of the concerns that it brings about. So skin as a as an organ in your body has multiple layers, starting all the way from epidermis, which is the topmost layer of your skin, to the dermis that has all your blood veins and your sweat glands and oil and so on. And then you have the hypodermis that is somewhat of a tissue, and then you have the muscle underneath. So the muscle and the hypodermis and the dermis really have all of the good stuff from the blood coming in to feed into these different tissue layers, which finally ends up in the epidermis. Your epidermis is really a place where your which is like a barrier, right? That's the barrier for your body. It's basically preventing things from going out, which is hydration and oils and all the good stuff that your body is creating. But it's also helping things from the outside to come in, which is like UV radiation or bacteria and viruses and so on. Now, in order to keep the epidermis and the dermis healthy, we really need to understand what makes up these layers and how do we start to think about them. What happens is with your skin, as you go through the different layers, there's hair, there's sweat glands and oil glands. These are all friends of your skin that keep your skin really healthy and happy. There are multiple layers to this. We talked about the epidermis, we talked about the dermis and the hypodermis. Now, the epidermis is of key importance because that is where you have something called the keratinocytes and you have the melanocytes. Keratinocytes are this scaly layer on top of your skin that really protects and prevents things from getting in. And you have these star-shaped cells interspersed that are called melanocytes. Now, melanocytes is the site where melanin is actually formed. Now, this melanin is formed as a protein, as a pigment inside something called a melanosome. Now, the melanosome is a place where there is a particular protein called tyrosine that converts to melanin. So whether you are light skin or darker skin tone, there are different colors of melanin that are present, going all the way from sort of light brown, yellowish, golden hue to all the way to black. Now, these melanin particles are very important as they travel through the star-shaped cells into the top layer of your skin, which is the keratinocytes. Now, they surround themselves around the nucleus of the keratinocyte. And basically here is where they prevent UV from actually entering and destroying your cells. Now, when UV hits, your DNA is given a hint that, okay, this happens. And so the protein signals are produced that go tell the melanocytes that, hey, make more melanin, right? And so based on how deep you are into, how long you are within exposing yourself to the sun or the UV, there can be different amounts of melanin that's formed in your body. And each person has a different amount of tan that they can actually handle, going all the way from light skin, where their proteins may not, or DNA and their proteins may not really allow a larger concentration of melanin to be formed. And so that could lead to some burning and sensitive skin, to a darker skin tone where more amount of melanin could be formed. Genetics and proteomics actually affect skin. So the cycle of melanin production is very interesting. We talked a little bit about the melanocyte, where the pigment is actually made. Now, you have a lot of signals that can trigger the production of melanin, whether it is UV, which is the animation that you saw. There can be some levels of irritation that can cause hyperpigmentation, or that can trigger the formation of melanin in the body. There can be hormones. There could be a hormonal effect. There could be free radicals that can also trigger these proteins to start generating more melanin. More tyrosine creates more melanin. So that is one of the primary. These are some of the primary reasons that you have more melanin formation in your body. Now, if there are some proteins that are important here, right? There's a protein called tyrosinase. There are certain anti-inflammatory agents that can actually impact this tyrosinase to reduce or to help regulate the production of tyrosine, and hence the production of melanin in your body. Now, if you have there can be some other elements that can impact this multi-step, right? So tyrosine, in fact, doesn't directly turn to melanin. There are different proteins in the middle that get converted, and one could intervene at any of these steps to help control the production of melanin in your body. Now, there are a total of 1,500 gene products or proteins that are expressed in your melanosome, of which 600 of these are being expressed at any given time. Like today, like now, as you're listening to this presentation, there could be 600 or more being expressed at this time. And about 100 of these are unique to melanin formation within the melanosomes. And these 100 proteins are what are key for us to intervene if we want to target pigmentation, if we want to control pigmentation or control hyperpigmentation. Now, going into treatment techniques from there, we talked a little bit about all of the different proteins that are involved. Now, tyrosine is converted to melanin, and that's not a simple process. Just like everything in biology, it's one of the most complex things that are that happen in your body, and it's one of the most beautiful things that happens. So you have you can basically, as I mentioned, intervene with any of these proteins to help impact your hyperpigmentation or your pigmentation content in your skin. Now, if you're starting all the way with just tyrosinase, which is the protein that helps tyrosine make melanin, you're inhibiting tyrosinase. You have a lot of different compounds, starting all the way from hydroquinone to kojic acid to alpha-arbutin, even your famous vitamin C, right? All of it inhibits tyrosine from being converted to melanin. And then going down, you have some other inhibitors, like the one of the more interesting ones that's made it to the market recently is niacinamide. Now, niacinamide, what does that help in it? It does not inhibit tyrosine from becoming melanin, but it inhibits the melanosome that's formed from reaching the top surface. So it's not that your body is not making melanin, but niacinamide prevents that melanin from reaching the surface of your skin. And this is one of the more elegant chemical reactions that exist in skin science. Now, of course, you've heard of retinoids that, again, help in downregulation of tyrosinase, so you're not making melanin at that point. You have antioxidants that basically break down melanin, like vitamin C, vitamin E, sulfhydryl compounds, and so on. And you also have some anti-inflammatory agents. Now, this is important because sometimes hyperpigmentation can occur when you have skin irritation. You're basically triggering your body to make more melanin, because melanin is, in a way, your skin's protection component, right? The more melanin you have, the stronger your skin is. You see this in a very interesting way when you see the way Caucasians age. So on the Fitzpatrick scale of 1 to 6, you see the way people in the scale of 1 to 3 age is very different from how people in the range 4 to 6 age. Now, this is because your melanin is really more amount of melanin, if that's what your body is capable of producing, definitely helps protect your skin for a longer time and keeps it healthy. But when you have an allergic reaction or you have high levels of inflammation, this can cause an irritation in your skin, and your skin now believes that, oh, I have to produce more melanin in order to protect this body. And so it starts to create more melanin that can now start to aggregate in places. That's why some anti-inflammatory agents, whether it is glycerinic acid, or hydrocortisone, all of these really help bring down hyperpigmentation as well. And finally, the last thing you have is epidermal turnover. Now, as we age, as our tissue grows older, the turnover time of your cells ranges from 14 days from when you're an infant to 28 days when you're in your 20s and 30s, all the way to 60 days and above when you start getting much older. Now, there are some compounds that can help trigger this reaction that can go faster. Now, there can be some retinoids, there's a salicylic acid, and there are some other compounds that you will find on our website that can help increase epidermal turnover. So that keeps your skin soft and strong as time goes on and helps you regulate your melanin production as well. Now going into so you've seen some of these as individual components. Now, one of the upcoming treatment techniques in skin is there a way to create some form of a cocktail of these chemicals to help you target your specific concern? Now, there is a possibility that some folks may not want tyrosine inhibition because that's not what works for their body. They may need an antioxidant, or they might need some combination of tyrosinase downregulation and antioxidant increase. So how do you start to think about some of these combination techniques, right? And there's been a lot of research that's happened in the recent past that shows that as an individual, that the graph that you see on the right, you see that there is a green component, there's a bar with the green and bar with the purple. Now, the dark purple, the solid bar, is a control. It's basically just a cell line. What you see on the green is just a single component. It's just niacinamide, right? Now, you see that there is a percentage change in spot area fraction, which means that if this person had a light spot on their cheek, now or anywhere on their skin, 4% niacinamide is applied on a regular basis, and they see that the spot reduces. Now, the same experiment is when done with a combination therapy, which is 4% niacinamide plus 2% of NAG, which is N-acetylglucosamine. A combination technique improves this by almost 20%, right? And that's where the science is heading now. It's no longer about, can I just use a single active and be done with it? You could, but you can get so much better results when you combine different treatment techniques. Now, combining these treatment techniques is not a trivial job. And so that's where our strategy comes in. That's our offering to you, where we are now able to, by understanding what's going on in your body, what's going on your skin, we are able to combine actives in a way that will work for you, right? You don't have to think about, oh, do I have to combine niacinamide and NAC? Do I have to combine vitamin C with retinoids and niacinamide? And then what happens? You don't want your skin to become a science experiment that blows up, right? You want to leave the experiments to people in the lab, right? And we have a ton of experts who have worked on this for over 30 years. Our formulator has an experience of over 30 years thinking about skin and what it means for actives to be present in different concentrations, in different combinations. And so when you go to our website, you'll see that there is a skincare quiz. Feel free to take that. That'll, on the surface, help you understand what your example regimen might look like for you. Feel free to try that. Now, if you want to go a level deeper and understand what are some of the proteins in your body that's leading to this hyperpigmentation, and what is a combination of actives that I need to use to really target this problem and keep it at bay, then take our protein test. And that also comes with a personalized solution wherein we look at your biology, we look at your skin type and what your lifestyle is, and really create this therapeutic regimen for you. Now, having said that, we did mention that we will be providing a few tests to people. And so anyone on the call today, just feel free to download scan the code that you see here and put in your information, and we will reach out to you with your test. Now, the test itself is an at-home test. It's very simple. It comes in a beautiful box. You basically sterilize your finger. It's a finger prick test. So you prick your finger, you collect blood on a protein card. So the test basically looks like that, where you sorry, I'm trying to figure out. Okay, so you take the Lancet and you add sample. Okay. You add sample onto the card and you ship this card back to us, and that's it. We take care of your what your proteins are saying about you, what your biology is doing to your skin, and we send you the solution that can help manage your hyperpigmentation. So that brings us to the end of the session. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them. If not, we can go on to the next screen where we could talk about some questions that we collected via email. All right, I don't see anything in the chat, so one of the questions that we got was, and this is kind of an interesting one, is whether, what are some of the scientific advancements in treating hyperpigmentation and how do they work? Now, hyperpigmentation, as we've seen, is a fairly complex interplay of your biology, what's happening internally versus how it shows up on your skin. And there's this host of proteins in the middle that help take the signal that you're getting, whether it's from your hormones or from UV outside or irritation, and take that to make tyrosine into melanin that is then either uniformly distributed or distributed spot-wise. So this is a fairly complex problem. How do we solve for this? Now, the solution for this is somewhat complex too. One is this whole combination therapy that we talked about, where you can combine actives in different concentrations, different doses, and different chemistries to work for you. The second way we do that is to figure out how do we optimally get it to the site where it is needed, right? Now, you can apply actives and topical creams all day long. There is a certain barrier that your skin has, and it's going to prevent these chemicals from going in. So you need some form of a smart vehicle to take all of these interesting chemicals into your skin to the spot where it can target hyperpigmentation. Now, those are called exosomes. Now, exosomes are these vehicles that your body uses, your cells use to communicate with each other. Exosomes are something plants use to communicate with each other. Bacteria or your microbiome uses exosomes to communicate with each other. Now, what we have done we've taken the plant and the microbiome exosomes and added the chemicals that we want, or the actives that we want to treat your hyperpigmentation, and we've encapsulated these into these vehicles, into these exosomes that are mostly plant created. And in some cases, there could be microbiome ones based on the problem that we're trying to target. So we create these exosomes, and this is one of the leading scientific advancements that we see happening today, the use of exosomes to treat skin, because as we saw, your skin is a barrier. It prevents, its main job is to prevent a lot of things from going in and a lot of things from going in to out, right? So exosomes are a smart vehicle that biology already has to help take in some of those active ingredients into your skin. So that's one of the newer advancements that we're seeing, and we've taken that and created a product that you will see on our website when you go read up about it. And please reach out to us if you have any questions about that. Now, the second question was around a personal experience or observation regarding the effectiveness of different techniques. So as I mentioned, I'm a bioengineer, and as a scientist, I have definitely tried out different formulations on myself even. And that was really when this whole idea of combination therapy started to form for me, right? When I started to think about, okay, what is it that we need on our skin? It's sometimes, it starts with something very simple, right? You want something like niacinamide on your skin to help target hyperpigmentation, but maybe you also have some aging concerns that you want to target, or maybe your skin is getting drier, or it is dry and you want to target moisture as well. Now, is there a way that you can find a combination of molecules that really help target all of these three while improving your skin tone and improving your pigmentation control in your skin? So these were some of the things that I observed as I was playing around with some of the formulations that we now have on our product line. And we'd, again, be very happy to consult and have conversations around what could be the most beneficial for you. You could also take the quiz that's on our website to help you understand what some of your needs might be and see how we are creating a combination therapy for you, even with just a simple questionnaire. Now, the last question we got was, how do available treatment options differ in terms of cost, duration, and invasiveness? So cost, I suppose there's a lot. You could go all the way from using cosmetic dermatology or cosmetics like what skincare that we are providing, to having laser therapies, having reconstructive surgery. There's a lot that the price range is really significant, right? In our case, for example, you would have a personalized treatment at as cheap as $89 a month, right? That covers your entire, if you want to make this your morning routine, it covers your entire morning routine. Now, for $89 a month, that's significantly cheaper than when you think about reconstructive surgery or laser therapies that can run you over $300 or $400 a month and can leave your skin, if not done well by a professional, can leave your skin damaged permanently. So that's kind of a risk that you're taking on as well. Now, in terms of duration, your skin is an organ. It's going to grow. It continues to grow with you. And so it's important to understand that any treatment is not really a permanent treatment, but it's more of an ongoing treatment that you have to take as your skin grows and as your lifestyle changes and so on. And you may have to tweak those again. So it's a lifelong journey, and something that we would love to be a part of as we are developing more products and as we're developing more of these tests to go along with those products. Invasiveness, again, goes all the way from being completely non-invasive, like in our case, where we have come up with clever chemistry to help get the right treatment to the right target, versus something like laser therapy and so on that can be highly invasive, can actually end up damaging your tissue more than you would want. So those were some of the questions that we got, and I would like to end this webinar here. And thank you all for joining us. And the recording will be made available to you soon. And please reach out to us if you have any questions on our website or on our email. Thank you.